Good morning, everybody. I am here at Disneyland, where this morning I rode on Star Tours The Adventures Continue with Imagineer Tom Fitzgerald. We got a first look at these new adventures that are now on Star Tours. They involve all sorts of things from Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. I'm not going to say too much in case you haven't seen the movie, because I'm not going to tell any spoilers. But I will tell you, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of connections to the movie, so don't go on it until after you've seen the movie. But you will love it, and it does for Star Tours what Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker does for Star Wars. Here's a little bit from this morning.
I'd like to introduce Tom Fitzgerald from Walt Disney Imagineering. Very special guest today. I'll just turn it over to you, but I think, just love to hear everything that happened.
Morning, you are the absolute first people to ride this. And I'm very excited to be with you on it. So I have been with the Star Tours adventure for 35 years. When we first started working on Star Tours way back in the 80s, our dream was that because it was a programmable simulator with media, that it could be updated over time. And of course, it was many, many years that we lived with the original production. It wasn't until George went into production on 1, 2, 3, started doing the prequels, that we said it's time to go back in and update this, and that was The Adventures Continue. And then, of course, when we started rebooting with the 7th film, we decided, well, we can keep up with the saga, let's do it. And then, of course, when we did 8, we said, well, we can keep up with the saga, let's do it. And now, obviously, you're seeing what we've done with Episode 9, which was really fun for us to sort of, JJ certainly, I think, is putting a bow around the Skywalker saga. And so we wanted to do the same thing for Star Tours. And so we started off, believe it or not, trying to keep up with the film is always tricky when you want to be day and date. I mean, they're designing the film and moving along, and we need to do the same thing. So we actually started with the Starport return at the end. We said, well, we have this Batu sequence at the end, this tag. Why don't we wrap up our story and finally go back to the Starport? And that we actually make it back, which, of course, in all the other adventures, you never do. So we had fun with that, and once we started thinking about that, it's like, well, that should tie into what you see in the pre-show. So let's have all those characters come back, the pit droids, who are sort of our Three Stooges characters. We should crash land, of course. So, 3PO brings us back and is a little bit cocky, having had a successful mission at the end there. And so he doesn't realize he's landing in the takeoff lane. So while he's distracted saying, thank you, I hope you enjoyed it, there's a ship coming right at us. A poor little signal droid gets bounced off, and then we end up crashing below, causing mayhem. So we have to end with mayhem, always. And then, of course, the fun thing was having Ace, who's the pilot whose ship we stole, essentially, sees his ship and gets to come back and so wrap a bow around that. So that was really fun for us. And then once we got that going, we, the way we do Star Tours when we do the updates is I get to read the script really early on up at Lucasfilm in a locked room and think about what in the films might work for Star Tours. We're not a book report of the film. We need to think about what would make a great simulator experience and would differentiate from what we have in the other chapters. So the Ocean Moon of Kef Bir immediately, to me, seemed very exciting. And Dave Durham, who's my ride partner when we did the creative, said, the one thing we've never done with the simulator is kind of surf in the water. We have a skim in the water in one of our sequences, and he said that's a perfect thing. That is the most perfect movement for a motion base, is that kind of surfing. So we immediately went into pre-production with ILM on that sequence. And our notion was, we're here at a different time, no spoiler alerts, because you've seen the trailer. We're here at a different time than where the feature film is. We're going to this world. That Death Star crashed on that ocean moon years ago, and we're probably somewhere around where the people are in the film. But, in Star Tours, we're a very short amount of time. So what do we want to do? We wanted to surf in the water. We want to be caught in waves. We wanted to surf. And then we wanted to go into the Death Star. And then you'll see we wanted to pay homage to a creature from Episode 4, which we did. And then we have to get out of there. For the transmission, reading the script, it was like, it has to be Lando. It has to be Lando for the fans. It's so exciting to see him return. So we were lucky enough to film with Billy D and have a lot of fun with him for that. And then that was really going to be, that and the space war was really going to be the work we had done. But, you know, as the film progressed, it was like the battle in episode 9 is so climactic, so important. We have to have it. And so very late in production, we asked J.J. Abrams and ILM, said, can we also be in the battle sequence? And honestly, I didn't know that we were going to be able to make it in time because it was a very late ad. But we did, and I'm glad we did, because I think it's a terrific sequence. And it gave us a chance to sort of move our storyline along. As you know, in every moment up till then, 3PO wants nothing to do with the mayhem and the battles. You know, he just wants to get out of the chaos. But here, and when you see episode 9, it will make more sense to you too. You know, here 3PO really has a change in character. It basically says, no, we need to participate in this battle. We need to help, you know, overturn this. So for the first time in Star Tours, it's 3PO who says, R2, you know, we have to do this. Activate the laser cannons. So that's a switch from the beginning where 3PO goes, laser cannon, someone could get hurt. Now he's ready to be in the battle. And then, of course, they're just really fun things, you know, from a writing standpoint. You know, as the writer-director, my goal for the writing standpoint is to really pay homage to the film scripts. It's not really about inventing a lot of new. It's like, how can we connect back to that? So being able to connect back little moments like, you know, the odds of successfully, you know, letting him have that line, or you'll see there's some others in here that he has where it's a twist on what you'll see him say in episode 9. That's really the fun of Star Tours, is to, you know, when George worked with us, he was like, you know, for Disneyland, you know, play up the humor. It's humor and adventure. When we did Star Tours, he said, you know, that adventure and humor are things that normally aren't combined together. You have the thrill ride that is crazy thrilling, or you have something that is humorous. We're putting them together. So we wanted to make sure we had the comedy and the adventure, and we tried to push it to be more over the top in terms of our visuals than we've ever done, which you'll see JJ has done as well. So this will open as you see it here, as we know for our fans, they want to see the new stuff. And then, like all of our parks, at some point it goes back into what I call the jukebox mode, where all the sequences get randomized. And when it does, for Star Tours will now have over 100 different story combinations, which means, you know, even though you may have seen all of the individual elements, whenever you ride, you don't know which ones you're going to get. I don't know which ones you're going to get. And that's part of the fun. Or if it's not your favorite sequence, you get in line to go again to get the ones you want. I will also say that when we go back into that mode, Ray will join us in Jakku. So we're trying to put a bow around it, make sure we have the classic characters all in here. And that sequence you'll see when we go back to the randomized mode and Jakku comes back into play. You know, we really felt if we're putting in a bow in it, you have to have Ray. She is so crucial to the Skywalker saga. So there you go. You guys are the first. I'm thrilled that you enjoyed it. I can't wait for guests to come in and ride it. And of course, today, go see the movie. So this is a global launch of Star Tours. So believe it or not, even though we were the first park to have Star Tours, today we're the last one to get the update. Tokyo, Paris, and Orlando have all gone live, and now we're completing the saga by being live here at Disneyland. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. Like I said, I've had a lot of fun for 35 years working on this, and you know, when Scott Trowbridge, who oversees all of our Star Wars portfolio, you know, said, "Do you want to do this?" I said, "Are you kidding? Of course I want to do this. I love Star Tours. It's one of my favorite attractions." So I'm glad that we finally fulfilled the dream of Star Tours, which is to have, you know, our Disneyland guests and our guests around the world be able to step into the adventures in a way that's always fun and relevant and fresh. And that our original dream from the mid 80s of having an attraction that could stay updated actually got to happen. So enjoy it.
The first California riders.
Aww.
So, question. This was produced at the same time as The Rise of Skywalker. Do we see the Star Speeder in the giant armada shot in The Rise of Skywalker?
You know, I have to go look.
But still kind of relay elements from the new film.
Well, we go. It is a tricky thing. Of course, you know, the movies come out, and you know, Star Tours lives on and on and on and on. So it is tricky in that we had to, while we were working with JJ, figure out, well, what is the Star Tours role in this particular scene? You know, we have a very, as you know, very short amount of time in these, and we want to maximize the adventure part of the sequence. So when we went to Kef Bir, we said to JJ and Lucasfilm, is like, what's important for Star Tours is that we go to that world. We don't have to be there in the exact moment that the film is at. Star Tours is its own beast in a certain sort of way. So, you know, that Death Star fell into that ocean, and it's been sitting there for a long time. So where are we in relation to the film? I don't even really know. Are we before the, you know, Kylo and Rey went there? Are we after? It's not. It doesn't really matter for Star Tours. What was great for us to say, that's an iconic sequence in Episode 9, and we want to go to iconic places from the Star Wars universe. And getting to lose power by smashing through one of those waves and being, you know, caught in those huge swells and then surfing into the Death Star. I mean, that's what Star Tours is all about. That's the aspirational part. And then, of course, you know, once we get in there, we have to have a reason to get out quickly. And so, you know, we sort of look back to the legacy of Star Wars and say, we need something in there that has us have to get out of there. Of course, you know, fabulous creature from Episode 4, we were given permission to use in that sequence to motivate that. So for fans of Star Wars, hopefully they go, oh my gosh, there's the creature, you know, from the trash compactor, from the Death Star, you know, and our logic goes, well, the Death Star fell, so they could have been in there, and then they're in the water, and then they just grow in the water, and, you know, that's a logic that's just for us, not for the guests. But that said, that's where we want to be there. Now, for the battle, you know, that was one that we added later in our production, where, you know, as I continue to read the scripts, you know, and I'm reading the scripts to look for lines and things that I can pull out and twist to fit Star Tours, and I go, we have to have that battle. That battle is so critical to the resolution of the, you know, of the saga. For it to not be in Star Tours, you guys as fans would say, well, why did you do the battle? It's so epic, it's so important. And the fact that, as you know, everyone coming together to help for the battle is critical to that story. It just felt natural that Star Tours should be there. Why wouldn't we be there? If everyone is coming to the rescue, that's what we want to be. And of course, as fans, that's what we want to be too. We want to be part of that armada coming to save the day. And that's what Star Tours gave us. So yes, it is walking a fine line, because oftentimes we'll say, well, 3PO is in there in the story, not in here. And, you know, you just have to take that license. You know, when we were doing The Adventures Continue, and we asked a logic question of George said, it's Disneyland. You know, he said, I have different rules for motion pictures, games, publishing, theme parks. There are different rules to the universe, and we have to take license. Otherwise, we would be missing things. When we did Adventures Continue the first time, we had to come in and say, George, you know, we want to go to Hoth, but in terms of our sequencing, it's not quite right. And that's where he said, you guys as Disneyland have to have license to give the fans what they're looking for. This is the greatest hit. Star Tours is the greatest hit ride. You know, you want to go to your favorite places, see your favorite characters, and feel that you're in and flying through those worlds. So that's the DNA of it. So yes, when you see the movies and look at Star Tours, we take license, but we think you want that. You know, we think if we didn't do that, you would say, I really wanted to be in that battle, or I really wanted to be in Hoth. So JJ and Kathy Kennedy and Scott Trowbridge, all of our, you know, Star Wars leads, have given us permission, and they were part of the process of approving what we could do. They viewed it all along, they approved it all along, and that's the partnership that we enjoy. And again, for me, you know, I started with Tony Baxter on Star Tours back in the mid-'80s, so being able to wrap up the Skywalker saga with this was a pure joy for me.
Can I ask about how you use talent? So obviously you have Billy D, and then you teased that Daisy's going to be in the Jakku.
She will, yeah.
So is it just vocal for her, and then how were you able to...
No, she's on the side monitor, like Finn is, and you know, those are short clips, but it was really, again, it was really important to us to say, Rey must be in Star Tours. You know, we don't know where Star Wars is going in the future, and you know, and hopefully there'll be, you know, episodes that fit in a timeline that will let us add more, but who knows? But for the time being, if we're putting a bow around it, she had to be in Star Tours. And, you know, knowing where we were in production, saying, well, where can she go? Where can she fit? Since we weren't going to have her in the Kef Bir moment, and didn't make sense in the finale, in that battle, it said, well, Jakku. You know, that's where she flew the Millennium Falcon the first time. we should put her in Jakku. So we rushed to London, and we were lucky enough to get to film with her and get it in a time. And when it goes into the random play, she'll appear. So it's a little bit of a spoiler alert, I guess. Giving something away, maybe I shouldn't. But I didn't want you to think we were forgetting that character. Too important.
Wait, did you get Billy D at the same time?
We had Billy D earlier, and we often had to sync up with production and when he was doing. But we shot him in Los Angeles, and he was quite delightful and to have in there. And again, it was one of those things like as soon as Lando is back, it's like, well, we have to have Lando. We have to have him. He's a classic Star Wars character, and he bridges both. He bridges all the eras. So it's like, I gotta have him. So we're lucky to get him. Yeah.
Cool. Can I ask?
I think that's all we have time for.
Oh,
Okay.
all right. I was just wondering about the music. Did Michael Giacchino work on this one?
No, Michael Giacchino did not. It was John Williams
nice.
and Bill Ross, who does Irene. You can see his name in the finale. And actually, I have to say, this is where we have such a great relationship with our partners at Lucasfilm. Our schedule for what we needed to get Star Tours done was earlier than the film. And John Williams, we said, was so nice that he rearranged his scoring schedule so that he could do the sequences that we needed first. So he oversaw it, and Bill Ross did worked with him on the orchestrations. We recorded at Abbey Road in London, so the film scores are done here in Los Angeles now. But we were in Abbey Road, and some of the musicians had recorded the original Star Wars back then. So to be in Abbey Road, with the same musicians that did the original and get to do that for Star Tours is amazing, right? I mean, you're talking about just a few minutes of music compared to the feature film, but that's how authentic we wanted this to be for you guys. So may the Force be with you.
Thank you. And also with you.
Thank you, everyone.
So, of course, after going on Star Tours, hearing Tom Fitzgerald speak about Star Tours, which was very cool, there was also some audio that we got that I'm not sure if I included in this video or not because I haven't edited it yet. But it was very cool hearing about Tom Fitzgerald's 35 years with Star Tours and the process that went through to create this new version of it. So I'll probably put that in here, so just ignore me. But anyway, very cool getting to experience the movie, the highlight reel really of the movie in a different way and being a part of it. Definitely go on Star Tours, you'll love it. And in just a month, you'll be able to go on, well, hopefully, on Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, which I'm passing right now, and really looking forward to that too. We hope you've enjoyed this brief look in the park on a Friday morning, the Star Wars day really, because Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is out today. Make sure to check out our review on dapsmagic.com and on this YouTube channel. Also subscribe to this YouTube channel while you're at it, and subscribe to the website too, because we are posting stuff all the time, and we've got a fun Small World video coming up as well. So we hope you have a very happy Star Wars day. We look forward to seeing you in the parks, and Merry Christmas, everybody.